Hello, hello. Happy Monday and welcome to Energize to Rise. We are here to help you maintain momentum on your biggest goals and really help you to get clear on what it is that you want in the first place. Because life is hard, it gets busy. We have great intentions with our to-do lists and our vision for what we want for our life and our work. But sometimes things happen. Sometimes things get in the way. Sometimes we have to think about the bigger picture from macro to micro, which is what we're really going to be focusing on today. So again, welcome to Energize to Rise. I'm Kristen Brown. If you don't know me, I'm a motivational speaker. I'm an energy mastery expert, and I'm really here to help you drive breakthrough thinking, to be more resilient, and to really ensure that you're moving forward even when life and work come to take you down sometimes. And I'm no stranger to this. I was in corporate America for 15 years in the retail vendor space, doing market research, sales, marketing, product development. Absolutely loved it. And then unexpectedly, 17 years ago, I was widowed. I was 31. We had a 10-month-old baby. It was completely unexpected. And when something like that happens, it changes you to your very core. It makes you think differently about everything. And back then, I was not where I am today with self-help, with self-reflection, with dealing with trauma and things like that. Back then, I was really clueless about all the things that you needed to have to be resilient, to still be a strong leader. Because at the time, I was working for a company that I absolutely loved, based in New York. I managed the Target account, which was our biggest retail account at the time. So I had a team that reported to me, and I was trying to figure out, amidst this grief, how do I still show up as my best? How do I still lead? How do I still make my goals happen when everything was so cloudy, when everything was so hard, when I was heartbroken and trying to figure out how to be a new mom, how to be a new solo mom, how to deal with the loss of my husband, and then how to show up as my best at work too. And over the course of many years, it really was a journey. It for sure was a journey. Those of you that have had challenges in your life, which is probably 100% of you, you know that it's a roller coaster ride. Our life is ups and downs, but all through it, as I was learning, I got a master's degree in integral theory. That's the art and science of multiple perspectives. That's how I describe it. And I've really kept coming back to energy. And those of you that have seen me speak, you know, I talk about the seven energies of leadership, of results, and how you can really create flow in your life. And that's what we're going to do here every single week, is tap into your flow so that you can get breakthroughs, keep moving forward, even when things are coming at you, pulling it at you, whether you're burnt out, whether you're stressed, whether you're overwhelmed, or whether something has happened, small or big, to impact that flow and momentum you have in your life. So let's just take a quick look again at what the flow formula is, because I want you to understand these seven energies are really what drive everything. And when you can get clear and unblocked in these seven energies, it's going to be a game changer for you, for your team, for your loved ones. They truly do work together scientifically, mentally, emotionally, and physically to create that flow that you need. So the first one is vision energy. Vision energy is knowing what you want, whether it's by the end of today or 50 years from now. Strategy energy is creating the plan to make that vision real, and making sure that your strategy actually is filled with the things that just drive that vision, not a bunch of fluff, not a bunch of things you do out of guilt, but things that really, truly will move you forward. Then we have communication energy, and that's saying, here's my vision and plan, but now I need to tell the world about it in a way that's authentic to me, but in a way that also honors the people that are on the journey with me, or that I want to get onto the journey with me. Because a lot of times you're going to interact with people that aren't like you, that don't like you, or you don't like. And that's when communication energy becomes really critical. Then we have relationship energy, and that's surrounding yourself with the right people who can help you make your vision and your strategy real. It's also having boundaries around the people that drain your energy, those energy vampires, and also boundaries for yourself, which was our energy hack last week, which we'll talk about in a minute. We also have confidence energy. You've got your vision, you've got your plan, you're telling the world about it, you have the right people, but now you have to tap into your own superpowers, those things that you know without a doubt that you are good at, that help you drive things forward, that are your gifts. But sometimes we're a little humble. We don't want to brag. We don't want to really showcase ourselves in that way, but we need to. You have to really dig deep and say, what am I good at, and how can I use those every day? Because that will put you into flow. It'll make things happen more quickly, more easily, and you'll have a lot more fun in the process. Which takes us to creativity energy. Creativity energy is the ability to build fun, lightness, humor into your day, because that's really the release valve of all the pressures that build up every single day in your to-do lists, in your families, in your workplaces. It's a lot of stuff that we're juggling, both internally on our to-do lists in our workplaces, our families, our communities, and in the world. It is a heavy place to live right now. So we want to be sure that that creativity energy is turned on and flowing to be that release and pressure valve for everything that you juggle. That'll drive flow, it'll drive resilience, and it'll help you drive breakthrough thinking as well. And then finally, we have motivation energy. Motivation energy is that ability to kick yourself in the butt, to say, I have an intention and this vision and a plan. I got to make myself do it, because we often have great intentions and we want something really badly, but that motivation energy sometimes just gets stuck, and we need to have ways to get ourselves and that motivation turned back on so we can get back into flow and back on track. So with that in mind, last week, your energy hack for the week is we identified your one priority for last week. And then I gave you a little mini lesson, an energy hack, something you could do right away that week, that day and that week. And it was boundaries, having boundaries for others to not pull your focus from your one thing you knew you needed to get done last week that laddered up to your bigger vision, but also boundaries for yourself to say, what are the things that I often get pulled into, the inner self-talk, or not having priorities set in my calendar, things like that. So just check in with yourself. How did you do last week? If you joined me last Monday and you identified the one thing for last week, did you get it done? If you did, awesome, celebrate that. Make sure you're honoring when you do something that really sticks to your flow. You didn't get it done, why? Be honest with yourself. What got in the way? What excuses, what roadblocks popped up? Was it internal, something with your own mindset, with something out in the bigger world, with your to-do list, someone else pulled at you? Why? Because that's when you start to notice patterns in your life, when you start to notice why you're getting pulled off track. So that's your check-in on last week. This week, we want to get yourself set up for success again by identifying your number one priority for the week. Now, that doesn't mean you're not going to have a whole bunch of other things on your to-do list, but we want to know the one thing that is going to 100% put you in a place where you're creating that flow, where you're making progress on the most important things to you. Now, last week, when I was thinking about what I wanted to have as my priority last week, I also had 2 speaking events and an MC gig last week. So I was really pulled into a lot of the weeds because of tactical preparation kind of stuff. But it actually reminded me I had to get refocused, and I pulled out my big goals. Now, you're not going to be able to read this because my handwriting is terrible, but I have 4 key things that I want to make happen in my life over the next year. I want Brooke College, that's my daughter, that's helping her figure out where she wants to go. She's a senior. KB Adventure, that's me. That's my life, what I want to have in my life that's fun and exciting. I'm going to be making a big move personally and things like that. Business growth. So these aren't prioritized, by the way, in order. They're just the 4 big things. Business growth. And then I've got, under each of them, I've got really specific things. And then my health and wellness. That's my mental health, my physical health, my emotional health, all of the things that go into making sure that I show up as my best and feel my best in order to deliver things like this, to be on stage, to be there for my daughter, and to really be there to have these adventures that I'm going to be going on over the next couple of years when I sell everything and I start moving all around the country, which is a whole different story. But last week when I felt scattered, my to-do list was really big. I went back to this. This is my overarching vision with the strategies underneath it. And I said, okay, what is my one thing going to be this week? It's going to actually move some of this forward. And that helped me so much with my strategic energy, my strategic thinking, which is the second element of that flow formula. Strategy helps your vision become real. So I wanted to share that little exercise with you. So first, let's start with a blank piece of paper, just like I did with this. I'm a Sketchpad user. So grab a piece of paper, and I want you to think about your big overarching vision items. And we're not going too deep here. We've only got a couple minutes left here in our 10-minute weekly Energized to Rise call. But when you think about the big things that you want to accomplish in your life, and then you look at your actual to-do list, maybe you've got it written out, maybe you've got it on a digital list, and you look at that list, what things on that list don't tie to those big top line items? Some people call them their big rocks if you're an EO person. Top line goals, personal vision, your personal goals, whatever you call them, what doesn't ladder up from your to-do list for this week or today to those bigger goals? Because more than likely, those things, they can go. You don't need them on your list. Why are you doing them if they're not part of your overall goal? Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't be going to your kids' games or going to sports practice or going to yoga or things like that that are, I don't want to say fluff because they're very, very important things. They're going to still be on the list. But if there's things that, you know, you're doing out of guilt or that you feel like you should, those need to go. So I want you now, based on that little strategic energy hack that we just did in your mind, is I want you to identify now, what is your number one priority this week? What is that one thing that you want to get done by the end of this week that will 100% for sure move one of your big goals forward? That's all you're going to focus on this week. And again, like I said earlier, that doesn't mean there are not other things on your to-do list, but you want to get that number one thing done. Now, I wanted to just leave you with a little bonus today. So my new book, The 7 Energies of Leadership, it's not out yet. There's a few groups that have gotten some pre-copies, but I wanted to leave you with an energy mantra, a strategy energy mantra that is actually from this book, The 7 Energies of Leadership, How Smart Professionals Fuel Their Inner Fire to Drive Remarkable Results. And this energy mantra for you for this week that you're going to keep in mind as you keep that number one priority front and center is, I take small strategic actions toward my goals every day. I take small strategic actions toward my goals every day. This mantra, I'll share it as a social media post in a couple of days just to remind you what it is, but you can take a screenshot of it right now if you want. It will help drive you forward this week to remind you to keep your priorities on that number one goal. Now, if you want to know more about your energy, if you want to dig into strategy energy, you can actually take my 7 Energies assessment. It's totally free. You can learn more about my energy experiences, because when we do this for companies, when we dig in, I always take a macro to micro approach to goal setting, so that when you think about the big things that are happening in the world, in your life, in your community, in your groups that you're a part of, it starts high level and then you're going to go low level. That's how I approach all my market research, all my trend development, all the things I did in corporate. And it's how I focus on things personally as well. Big picture to micro. That is when you really start to see the web of how things are connected, what things are blocking you, what things are energizing you. And we always start with that when we do any sort of deeper dive. So if you want to do a Q4 deep dive for your team, if you want to kick off 2025 with some more specific things, we do energy maps, we do mission statements, where we take your company's mission and we actually then align your goals of each individual within your company to ladder up to that. Plus bring in their personal goals as well. So just reach out if you want to do that, or go to KristenBrownPresents.com to take the assessment for free, to learn which of your 7 energies are blocked, neutral, or flowing, and to learn more about my topics. So as we leave here today, our little 13 minutes today, I want you to remember this. With that number one priority for your week, you're taking the big goals and you're looking at the small things that ladder up to that. And the one thing that you identified that can help drive one of those forward, remember every day, I take small strategic actions toward my goals every day. That is when momentum happens. That's when you're going to bust through the blocks. Breakthroughs are going to happen and you're going to get the results that you want. So thank you for being here on this Monday. Remember, we meet every Monday at noon-ish, depending on what I got going on. I'm Kristen Brown. You can check me out at KristenBrownPresents.com. Have an amazing week, making that number one priority your goal. And I can't wait to see you energized to rise, and see you next week.